either lose, just flat out lose, or they would just flat out cheat me, you know. And I never really knew. I'm not really the clique type person. I don't get in cliques. I have a set of friends that I deal with. But I mean, I've just never been in the in crowd, you may say, you know, because that's how a lot of that stuff works. A lot of them are friends and they help each other out and they judge each other's pageants and that type of thing. I'm just so grateful that I was given the opportunity fairly.
Well, you know, I am really glad that you are Miss Continental Plus, and I have great respect for Jim Flint, because when he talked about discrimination in the pageants, it was a real thing for him. This is why he started Miss Continental and Miss Continental Plus and Mr. Lee, because he felt that a lot of the girls, mainly in Florida, were being discriminated.
Just want to see if you're okay.
I'm listening.
Were being discriminated against or passed up for the girls that were more popular, or like you said, in those cliques.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about your childhood just for a minute. You're from a small town in, like you said, outside of Alabama?
It's at the bottom of Alabama. It definitely is in Alabama, but it's a small town. And so I hadn't come into contact with people like myself, that my form that I am in now. It wasn't that, you know, they had people that were gay, you know, and, you know, it wasn't.
Okay.
What?
So when was the first time? I mean, let's talk about this first. This is why I wanted to talk about you as a young person. When you were in this small town and you first told your parents that you were either gay or you were dressing as a girl, how did they react to you? I see that, you know, you just opened the door for your brother, so that means that the two of you are on good terms and he understands you. Right.
So, I mean, I don't think I ever had to have a conversation from the time I was in my preteens, as far as I can remember. I was always styling hair, and I was just, you know, they just knew who I was. I think my dad, actually, he was like, well, I just didn't know, you know, it just like blew his mind. But me and him are really close. And it doesn't always happen that way, you know, for people. It doesn't always happen that way. I think as we evolve as a culture, people, they become more accepting to things that, you know, quote unquote, aren't the norm. As we, like I was saying, seeing those things, having a face for them, seeing it on television and seeing it. We're all human and we're all doing the best that we can with this thing that we have called life. So my childhood was, it was fine. My childhood, I didn't have any type of trauma or anything like that. I probably would say that the only thing that I really remember about my childhood is that I performed in the choir. I played basketball, I played football, I played baseball, and then I joined the chorale in middle school. And then I stopped playing those things because I wasn't interested in those at all. I was just trying to find a spot for me and my dad to bond, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
So,
well, it's wonderful. It's wonderful that you actually have your father's ear, and the fact that the two of you are close. Because, you know, sometimes black fathers are the hardest. I mean, besides the mother, sometimes the fathers just stand back and really let the mother, mainly in the South, take care of things. But the fact that your father is right there for you, I think that is amazing.
Well, see, they weren't, my mother and my father weren't together. You know what I'm saying? So I was with my mom growing up, and then I had summers with him. And so for me to garner his attention throughout the school year, I played those sports. But the person that I grew up with, growth is a beautiful thing. So the thing about life is that we always have the opportunity to learn, and we always have the opportunity to grow. And so by the time I became a child until I became an adult, the man that I knew at that time when I was a child, he's not that same guy. You understand what I'm saying? So where there once was maybe some thoughts in his mind, like, I don't like all that. He received me, you know, in a whole nother way. Because that's the ticket for me. In the South, you're going to have to become an adult to make those type of life-altering decisions. I didn't have that type of support to say, oh, well, we're going to do some investigation and find out how we can further you along. I had to wait till I was an adult, you know.
Now, I want to ask you this about racism in the South. I mean, not just for the Black community, but for a woman like yourself and the gay community, it's probably a really concerning thing.
Yes, it is. It is, but it isn't. You know, there is a such thing as passable privilege, and like to a day-to-day basis, I don't have any problems. But if a friend of mine has a problem, then I too have a problem. And so I'll say, more than anything, it's just the racism as a whole. When you're Black here in this area, it cannot be. It could be hard. It could be difficult, and you'll have to find. There is. I'll say this. So there is like things that aren't spoken but understood. And so when you have those types of things, you just kind of stay away from this stuff that can bother you. You know, this the people, the areas that can bother you. But as far as me navigating through day to day, I'm blessed that I don't have that problem. But I do know that racism more than anything, because I think that everybody kind of gets it. Everybody has gay family members, you know, everybody has stuff like that. So they're not really tripping about that. But as a business person or as a professional, you'll receive some stuff like that. And then trying to purchase just different things, you're going to run into those things. You know, racism is yet alive in Alabama.
Okay, because the reason I'm asking you this is because we want to have a real understanding of what the gay community goes through, whether you're a trans woman or just a cis woman or a gay man in Alabama and just in life. We want the world to understand that racism is alive and well in America, and that these are things that we deal with all the time that keeps the Black community from moving forward and tries to sort of mute us and keep us in control. And this is something that we cannot tolerate or put up with anymore.
Right.
So, yeah, and now that we are all talking in a sense, and I see a lot of people's got boots on the ground now, and they're moving and grooving in the right direction, which they probably should have had a little. The COVID-19, like I said, is a good thing and a bad thing. COVID brought a lot of attention to things that were either propaganda or not realistic. And it also brought attention to the homelessness, the all these young people dying, and all these secret things that have seemed to come to life and that the gay community has been talking about for a long time and nobody really ever listened. And now we're actually seeing this for ourselves on the internet, and it's gonna make a lot of people think a lot differently about the gay community. Now, because we want to, it's a good thing that you're showing people that we work, we start businesses, that we're educated, that we go to school, we take care of our children, we take care of our community, we do a lot. And this is stuff that needs to be seen and not just from pictures, because if it's digital, it's not lies.
Right.
Now, let's talk about you and your journey now as Miss Continental Plus in the direction you're going.
Hold on 1 second, because you spoke upon COVID-19. COVID-19 and everything that came with it was horrible. I lost my mother. Before I competed, I had lost my mother just shy of 6 days from a year when I competed for Miss Continental from COVID. So religiously, her decisions about not being vaccinated, and then the aftercare after she got it, that was her choice. Like, it's my choice here to be with you today and to be the woman that I am. And so COVID-19, it did a lot of damage, and what you're saying is absolutely true.
You know, I say this all the time, even though I live in Canada, every time they say get a vaccine, and I live right down the street from the gay community, right in the heart of downtown Toronto, one of the most expensive and vibrant places ever. So, I'm in contact with a lot of people, and mainly from doing all the shows. As soon as they say a vaccine, I go and get it.
Right.
I'm 60, and I want to make sure that I live to be at least 80 or 90.
Correct.
So I'm not about to be fighting and arguing with the government. When they say there's a vaccine here for you and it's free, come get it and it'll help you live or whatever, I'm running right over there.
Absolutely.
And a lot of Black people should understand that and stop thinking that they can some of these new viruses and diseases are very dangerous, and they don't tell us everything, but when they say a vaccine, they're actually telling you that there's a real problem.
Absolutely.
I love talking to you, Rachel, because I think you make a lot of sense. And for you to talk about your mother dying from COVID-19, this is something that needs to be heard because she chose not to take the vaccine. And this is. It's heartbreaking when you think about it, and the fact that it was 6 days before you ran for Miss Continental. You must have been.
No, it was 6 days shy of a year. She died September the 9th of 21. I won in 22.
Oh, okay.
And they had the pageant September the 4th.
Oh, okay. Now, what do you think is going to happen now? Has the COVID-19 affected you being on the road with the prelims?
No, it hasn't, because they have opened up the airways, the airlines rather, and you just wear your mask and you sanitize. They have sanitation stations everywhere, and so I haven't run into any problem going to my prelims as of yet. I think that we'll start to have some weather issues here shortly, but that's just, you can't control Mother Nature.
So now that you are Miss Continental Plus, what do you plan? What are your thoughts about your year? I know that it's fantastic going to the different prelims, but what is it that you're most excited about now?
Well, I won the pageant in September, and I'll be relinquishing my title in April. So it won't be a year, but we'll still get the opportunity to do a number in September. So my plan that I had when I won and the plan that I have now, I like to say that I have now a newfound sense of urgency to get everything that I had stretched out for the year done in a shorter period of time. I had a fragrance launch that I was working on, and I will put a pin in it for now so that I can get the work done that is required of me. And I think that being the representative, all it does is allow you the opportunity to go places that you don't normally go to, so they can see you, so you can interact with them, And that's the job that I have, to show up and look lovely and to be kind.
This is great. Can we see the crown and the sash, or what do you have on?
Most definitely. I have it right here.
Oh, wow. Look at that. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It says Continental. It just says.
I have this.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that.
I won this the night of. And then I have this. I don't know if you can read it. It's legible. Yeah. I don't know if it's legible.
We can read it. Yeah, we can read it. No problem. Fabulous. It's fabulous. Talking to you today, Miss Continental Plus, Miss Rachel Meredith, you've given us a little insight on your life and the pageant. And we just wanted some highlights about the fact that you won your first time and how you felt, and the fact that you were so overwhelmed and you couldn't believe it when you ran off stage, which will be iconic for decades and centuries to come for the children to look forward to seeing. And they'll be like, oh my God, that was real. And that's what they need to see about us, that when we work hard for something and we're determined, this is the reaction that you get. And you gave us real life authenticness.
But I had no clue though, honestly. I had no clue. I had a rough day. And then because they put they had the whole pageant in one weekend when you do registration, interview, and the pageant all in one day in just a few hours. And so it was hard, that the whole environment of preparing to do the pageant, it was something that I wasn't accustomed to. I prepared myself to go and win, but Murphy's Law tells us that anything that can go wrong will. And so that's what happened. And so, and then you have the people that you talk to, and you have your friends who have competed for that contest before say, oh, don't worry about it. You have to go a couple times, but you'll get it. In my mind, I said, well, I've always believed in myself. If they give me a fair shot, I'm going to go ahead and handle business, not knowing that it was going to actually happen. And so, I think for the girls that have competed in years past, that have given up, or that say that, because that's what they told me. It's all about politics. They don't know you. You'll have to come back a couple more times. I had it in my mind that I can do it. There's nothing. I'm never defeated. With all the stuff that happened to me last year, I just didn't get defeated.
Well, that's wonderful. When I first started doing this show, and then when I became, I decided I was going to develop the Pronoun TV into a real reality show that consists of us all in a sense. And when he kept pushing me, I said, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. And then as I started doing it, I kept saying to myself, I can make this work. I can do this. I can make a difference. And people are actually listening to me and talking to me without me having to pressure them. So, and he had already told me that. He said, from the years I've been watching your stuff, you have a natural ability to talk to people. Let's try to make this work. I think we can really make this work and turn it into something huge. So let's do it. You just keep going. So now he's right. He was right. And now I have more confidence in myself. Like you said, I can do it. And I'm thinking to myself, I can do this. And so now things are just moving along very smoothly. And I'm blessed that for you not to know me and to do my show, I take off my wig to you, and I have nothing but ultimate respect for you, Miss Continental Plus, Miss Rachel Meredith, because you spoke from the heart. And now I want to just close the interview with this. Two things. One, I see trending online that the security of drag shows, or, where drag is presented, the girls now are saying that the women who doing these shows should carry weapons. What do you think about that?
That the women should take weapons to the shows.
Well, they should be armed because people are showing up with doing violent things to the drag queens and the performers now. Apparently they had, I'm not going to say which show, I'm sure you heard about it in North Carolina, where they had a bomb threat, and there was a lot of the heavy hitters there. And you could see when they weren't really talking about it, but you could see on their face that the shows were ruined and the people just left the place and all this kind of stuff. What do you think should happen?
I think that at any type of business that grosses income based off of other entertainers or others' works or their efforts, they should be afforded security. I don't think that anywhere you should go to work, you shouldn't have some type of security. Now, bearing arms is your right. But I think that more than anything, the place that you work should be beefed up in security, because we see the times that we're living in. I shouldn't have to go to work. I shouldn't have to be focused on making sure that my gun is not on safety and to do my makeup, and even in any other area of life, security is important. I think that I know that some people feel like it's an invasion of their privacy. But at some point, depending on what type of lifestyle you live, you're going to want to feel secure, especially when you're going to either church because you're there to worship, when you're going to school because you're there to learn, or when you're going to work because you're there to take care of your family. And so
Mhm.
security should be provided for all of these peoples. Yes, they should be able to bear arms because that is their right. It's a personal thing. I wouldn't go to a foreign place without something, because you just don't know what could happen. I'm not going to tote it around in my clutch because I don't think that's ladylike. But for those that choose to,
Okay. All right. Now, in closing, I want to say this. Do you have any advice for the young, up and coming, whatever pronoun they decide, whether they're a trans woman
absolutely.
or a young drag queen or a gay man, anybody in the entertainment field, what do you think now? Because we're seeing, I work with one of the girls from RuPaul's. I work with a lot of them, but I work with this one particular one that was really famous. And now I see this stuff online that she might now go to jail for some concerning behavior. And I'm really kind of shocked because when I worked with her a few times, I actually thought she was a professional. Now, to be honest, I thought her drag was questionable because what we see is.
Well, they're saying now that all drag is valid. When from the girls that I came from, there was a way to do it. But they didn't have us on TV. They didn't have areas for us to tutorials for this and that. Didn't have all the outlets that they have now. And so we evolve as well. As it pertains to a young person who needs encouraging, no matter if they want to be a performer, no matter if they want to go to school to become a doctor, no matter what they want to do with their life, I believe three things: that you must first and always remember who you are and never deviate from what you feel your spirit man or woman is telling you. The second part is to always listen. Never close your ears to sound advice. And the third is to treat others how you want to be treated. When you do those things, success will have no other option to know your address. It will always visit you.
Wonderful. And on that note, Miss Continental Plus, Miss Rachel Meredith, thank you so much for doing the show to us today. Can you just show us the crown one more time?
Absolutely. I love to show it off.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Rachel Meredith, Miss Continental Plus, and she gave us her insight today on life's issues. And we wanted to say thank you to Miss Continental Plus for stopping by Pronoun TV and the Stephanie Stevens Show here. We have great respect for her winning her first time around and educating lots of people about the South. And
thank you for having me.
You were wonderful. So I just want to say thank you all, everyone, and thank you for supporting Pronoun TV and the Stephanie Stevens Show. Amazing things are happening in the world. So just keep talking, keep sharing, keep networking, and just remember, like Rachel said, be kind. Be kind to each other. And until we meet again, Miss Rachel Meredith, congratulations and Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you so much. Same to you.
And
thank you for having me.
Good night, everyone. And thank you guys so much for watching. Good night.
Good night.